Welcome to the Welsh Lamb Special Edition, and today's one of those sort of, well, plot to plate videos, and I'm going to show you some produce that I bought and then take you onto the allotment to fill in all the gaps and show you what I'm up to. So let's have a look in my bag. Well, I've got my Target bag. For all of those of you in the USA, you'll recognise this emblem. That's my French for Target. And in here I've got the main ingredient, which is a nice bit of Welsh lamb. That's a leg. And we've got some feta cheese. And because I don't have this on the plot, we've got some pea shoot salad and just a drop of wine, in this case a nice 2020 Malbec. Right, that's the ingredients that I had to purchase. Everything else comes from the plot. And the first thing to do, we won't be needing that for a while, it's just a bit early for that. So the first thing we need to do is get this prepared. So I'll get it opened, and then it's going into the pan just to sear the edges. Okay, full disclosure, I didn't invent this recipe. In fact, it's not even a recipe. It's just something that I ate that I really enjoyed, and I'm just going to try and replicate it. So let me get some olive oil and I'll get it in the pan. So we'll have a glug of oil. I'm going to put it on a fairly fierce heat, and then I'm going to just put a little bit of salt onto this fella, and a little bit of pepper, and just rub it in. And then we're going to let it just caramelize the skin and all the sides before I go on to the next step. And I just know I'm going to be washing the cooker down after I've done this, but it's going to be worth it. Of course, the benefit of searing the meat in this way is to keep all those lovely juices in once you go on to the next stage, which will be in the slow cooker. And this is going to cook for probably 4 or 5 hours very slowly. It's about ready now to go in. So I'm just going to take that off the heat, put it straight into the slow cooker dish, and then I should just add some water onto this and get it into the slow cooker. And it'll take, wow, most of the rest of the day until I feel it's really almost falling apart. Well, we picked runner beans just yesterday, and it looks like we'll be picking them most days at the rate they're growing. But these beans at the moment are absolutely beautiful, succulent and almost stringless, although I do like to take the sides off of the beans. And many of you commented when I showed how I did the beans that you often just snap them and see whether or not they're stringy at all, and if they're not, you don't bother to string them. I get that. That saves an awful lot of effort. It's probably a very good idea. Anyway, let's get some more of these. There's some fantastic beans in here, and we want just enough for 2 people, so we're not going to be picking oodles. Right, I'll carry on with this and then get back to you with the next ingredient. Well, many of you that watched my last video will probably know what I'm going to do with these, and if you didn't, well, hang in there and I'll show you. But I want to pick myself, I don't know, about 3 really nice beetroots. And I want one of the golden ones as well. So that's that one. Let's see if I can find a decent sized golden one. Yep. How about those? Beautiful. I'm going to need just one onion, and for this I'm going to pick something nice, and I'm going to try these Globo. That looks like quite a nice one. So I'll just take the top off of him, and in he goes. So this Cavolo Nero style kale, which is actually called Toscana, is really looking very nice now, and I don't need a lot of this. And I'm going to do something a little bit unusual with it, but it's going to add some flavour. So let's see, what are we going to have? 1, 2, 3. That's all I need. Thanks to everybody who fed back that scab on your potatoes stays in the compost, so I'm not going to use this compost in my regeneration of compost for potatoes next year. I'm going to use it for something else. In fact, I think I'm going to grow garlic in it, because I've obviously got white rot in the plot, and I don't know, garlic in pots has been suggested. I might just give it a go. Right, let's see what potatoes we've got in here. I need some, well, reasonable size ones, because I'm going to be roasting them, and Desiree is a good potato for that. Well, as expected, those had scab on them, but I've got myself 4 nice sized potatoes, which will be absolutely perfect for what I need. Okay, I'm going to use just a couple of peppers in this, and I want to taste these and just see what they're like, because I want them to be really sweet. We're going to have these raw. That's quite sweet. I'm going to look at this. What have we got here? Semero early, and we've got a nice red one in here, or at least orange, and that's a bit sweeter. And I'm just going to try one of these yellow ones just to see what the sweetness is like on that. This is good. So 3 colours. I don't need an awful lot of this, but as you can see, they do add a lot of colour to any dish. Well, it's really early for me to be taking any carrots, but as I'm going to all this effort, I thought we'd have some carrots on the plate. So this is an absolute first. So I'm going to take a smaller carrot, because I really want to keep them going so that I get bigger carrots in the end. So we'll just have a look what we got. Here's one that's about 1 inch. What have we got there? That one's about 1 inch. And when I say 1 inch, it's 1 inch across at the top. So, I don't know. They're going to keep going for a while, I think. Perhaps I should take a slightly larger one. Here we go. I'm going to have this one, and we'll see how deep this is. And I'm hoping that, because I'm taking it a little bit earlier, that it hasn't got so much damage on the side of the root, which it tends to have when I leave them in. Right, here we go. There we are. Perfect. So that's a sweet candle carrot. Absolutely textbook. Beautiful. Well, I'm really tempted to roast a squash, but to be honest, it's just a little bit early, and I'm worried that the flesh inside might not have got to the right, well, state for the best possible roasting. So my crops are looking pretty good. I think that's going to make a lot of food. So by the time I've added meat to this dish, it's going to be a fair sized plate. So I think I'll hold off. So the hedgerow is going to be providing the next part of the ingredients. And in here, there's always been mint growing, and I've got some apple mint in the polytunnel, but this is beautifully fresh and a fantastic flavour, so why not make the most of it? And there's going to be plenty needed, so I'm going to harvest a fair amount. There we go. I think that'll do me. Oh, it smells fantastic. And I've not finished with the hedgerow yet because there are some amazing blackberries, and this must be a dessert blackberry that was grown in the plot at some point and it's just become the hedgerow, but they're fantastic size and delicious, and this will add just a little bit of a special flavour to the dish that I'm making. So I'll get on and pick a few of these. Isn't it funny how you always want the ones that are further away? And I've just got to be careful I don't get stung because there's plenty of stinging nettles in here. Ouch, just did. Right, just need to be careful taking these home so I don't crush them amongst all the other vegetables. Just one more and we're good to go. One thing that I did forget is a little bit of rosemary, and I'll show you what I'm going to use that for in due course, but we've got a nice little bush down here and just take a few sprigs. Oh, gorgeous. Well, gotta be honest, that looks good enough to eat already. But I've got a fair amount of preparation to do. So some things I can't do until later on when I'm getting closer to mealtime. But there's a lot of things I can do. So I'm going to use the mint straight away. I'm going to use the kale. I need to prep the runner beans and the potatoes, but I need a bit of room, so I'll do these first. Okay, so with the kale, what I'm going to do, come over here and have a look. So first of all, I'm going to take the main stem out of the leaf because we only want the fleshy parts, or at least I do. So we'll take that out, cut it about there, and this bit probably can be eaten, but it's a bit tough, and for what I'm doing, it's not necessary. So there you are, there's the leaf with the main vein taken out. And then I'm going to cut this into just pieces like this. And they will go onto a baking tray and into the oven. And what I'm trying to do here is effectively make kale crisps. They're about the perfect size. And I'm not going to eat them as crisps, I'm going to crunch them up and add them to one of the other ingredients. But I'll show you that later on. In the meantime, I'll get on and do these other few. So into a well seasoned pan with just a little bit of oil on the bottom, and I'm just going to spread that around. You can do this without oil, I'm sure. I just think it gives them a nice crispy finish. There we go. And then I'm just going to sprinkle those in there and then season them. And so they really are like a crisp. Well seasoned, and that's going to go into a hot oven at about 150. So with the mint, I'm just going to take the finest bit from the tips and pop it into the slow cooker with the meat. And then these bits, I'm just going to remove all the leaves, and then I'm going to make a very basic mint sauce, just as a bit of a dressing. So it's going to take me a while to get these leaves off. I'll bring you back when I'm done. Now I'm sure there's a tool for this, but I'm going to use the old-fashioned method and just chop this up as finely as I can to go in the mint sauce. And there we are. So that's going into a little jug, and we're just going to put that with some malt vinegar. Don't need an awful lot. That'll do us nicely, and then that can steep in there until we're ready to use it later in the day. Perfect. So next on the agenda is to get this rosemary taken off of the stem, because we don't want any hard bits to be in the dish, and that's going to take me just a few moments, but it'll be worth the effort in the end. So I'll bring you back when I've got all these wonderfully aromatic leaves off the stem. If only we had smell-o-vision. So next on the agenda is the runner beans, and I did a little feature about runner beans a little while ago, and so many people suggested that I use a peeler like this, sort of carrot peeler, so I'm going to give that a go today, and I'm also going to do my carrot with that as well. So we'll get those prepared. Well, whilst I've been preparing those vegetables, the kale is ready, so I'll get it out of the oven and I'll show you what it looks like. So there we are, and as you can see, they're sort of a olive green colour and really very crispy. Just to give you some sort of idea, they are absolutely crunchy and they taste wonderful. If you want an alternative to your standard crisps, then a bit of salt on these makes for a wonderful taste. So we'll set all those aside because we're going to use those later on. So next up is a bit of peeling. I need to prepare these potatoes and this onion, so I'll get on with that and I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, so you can see those potatoes, even though they had scab on them, come out nice and clean. So we'll just put those in this carrot pot for now, and this onion's going to be roasted, so it's literally going to be cut in two and put in the pan. And that just leaves me to give these blackberries a bit of a wash, and then we'll set them aside also. Right, they can go in there, and I'll be using those later on. And next comes the beetroot, which just need to be cooked till they're soft. And that helps because you can then peel them really easily. So we'll get the worst off, like so. And then straight into the pot. Same with these. Give that one a bit of a wash, I think, before it goes in. And they'll be boiled now in water until I think I can peel them, which should be about 3/4 of an hour. Well, by the trickery of camera work, we are now ready to peel these beetroots, and they've cooled right down. I'm going to pour away the excess liquid, which is a beautiful colour, and just start to peel these. So I think I'm going to get a plate because they're going to make a bit of a mess. And the skin comes off these so simply, it literally rubs off. You just need to get rid of every last bit of it because you don't want to eat skin when you're chewing your rhubarb. So I'll work my way through these and show you at the end. Well, that's a job best not done in your best white top. And there we go. So we're just going to cut those in half, and I'm going to make Hasselback beetroot, and they're going to be roasted in the oven. So Hasselback really just means finely sliced across the top, which helps the roasting process and results in a somewhat more crispy surface after roasting. So I'll work my way through these and slice them all and get them into the pan. Right, and they're going to go alongside the onions. And then I've just got the potatoes to add to this, and I'll partially cook those before turning them into Hasselback roasted potatoes. Well, we started slow roasting or slow cooking this Welsh lamb at just before 9 this morning, and it's now 3:30 in the afternoon, and this will give you some sort of idea of what that's done. You can see the meat is just flaking, which is perfect. So we'll make sure that just ticks over now until we're ready to eat. Okay, well, I'm going to pre-prepare this part of the dish. I'm just going to take my peppers and chop them in half to start with. Make sure there aren't too many seeds in there. Hardly any seeds in that one. And same with that one. It's got a few more. Just take the bulk of those seeds out. They're really not hot. These are sweet peppers, but I do like to take the seeds out when I put them in a dish. And then this last one. And again, quite a few seeds in that one. So, and then I'm going to finely chop these, and that might take me a short moment. So I'll work my way through and bring you back. Okay, I'm going to take my pea shoot salad and pop it into the mixing bowl. Put that over there. Going to add to it the peppers. Get it nicely mixed up. And then I'm going to add some feta cheese. And in typical Jamie Oliver fashion, I'm just going to break it up into pieces. Nothing too uniform. And then mix that up. Perhaps just a little bit more. There we go. And then the blackberries and the kale, I'm not going to add until I'm about ready to serve, because the kale, I want to maintain its crispiness, and the blackberries will begin to seep out and spread their pink coloration. So I want to put those in later on in the dish. Right, my potatoes are now just partially cooked, but still very firm, and I'm just going to slice through them best I can. Get that Hasselback sort of feel to them, and obviously that helps the back of the potato get nice and crispy. And the cuts are fairly deep. This is a fluffy potato, but that's the general idea. So work my way through those, get them in the tray. Right, we are getting quite close now, so first thing I'm going to do is take this lamb out of the slow cooker. And it is literally falling apart, which is fantastic. And we'll just put it on that foil to rest for a few minutes. And then it's going into the pan again, just for a final caramelization, just to sear once again the edges and give the meat a bit of texture and extra flavour. And this might be a bit of a pyrotechnic moment, we'll see. In it goes. Drop that other piece in as well, and those bits. Okay, so the meat's going to come back out now and just rest on that for a few moments, and it literally is falling apart, which is absolutely perfect. And you can see there the bone has fallen out the middle. And that's exactly what I wanted to happen, because the next step in this lamb dish is to assemble it. And you might be a little bit surprised at how I do that. We'll see. So back to my pea shoot mix, which has got feta cheese in it and fresh peppers. And I'm now going to take the black currants and just tease them apart so that they're not solid black currants, more like little explosions of flavour. And they're going to be mixed in with this salad. I'll work my way through these. Just keep mixing them up as you go. And this gives a real additional punch of flavour as you're eating it. So I'm now going to break this meat up into bite-sized chunks, and there's more meat here than we probably need for this dish, but you know what it's like, cold meat is always well received. Another day. So there we go. It's a bit like pulled pork, but in this occasion pulled Welsh lamb. I'm just going to let that cool off a little bit. Okay, now that that's just warm, you don't want it too hot, otherwise when I put it into this mixture it will actually wilt all the leaves. So take plenty of that and mix it in. There we go. Move that. And then we'll take that to one side, and before we plate it up we'll add the mint sauce and the kale crisps. Okay, the time has come to plate up. So we've got Hasselback roast potato, which are nice and crispy, with rosemary on the top. Roasted onion. Next up is some fresh green beans that were literally hanging on the plant this morning. And some fresh sweet candle carrot that again was just pulled out of the ground, or at least the raised bed this morning. And of course, not forgetting the Hasselback beetroots. And finally, the Welsh lamb in pea shoot salad with feta cheese and fresh pepper. And garnished with mint sauce. And kale crisps. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then like and subscribe. And if you'd like to watch my videos, I upload them on a Wednesday and a Sunday at 8 p.m. Good times.